Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gold Mine Live here today, back in the Student Union. It is a quiet day on campus. Spring break started on Friday, and the kids are gone this week. But there's some folks milling around, and we got a double show here today, split show with head coach Cara Consuegra from the women's basketball team and Ron Sanchez and the men's basketball team coming up in the next hour here at the Student Union. So if you're in the area, come on by, stop by, and got a question for the coach, you can jot it down, and we will certainly have that answered for you. Coach, good to see you again this week. We talked about the winning streak you had last week, and a week later it's still going.
Yeah.
A big road win down in South Florida this week, and now you get one more home game before you head to the conference tournament. The team's playing well.
We are playing well. I think we're playing tremendously well on the defensive end, which we've been good defensively most of the season. But if you look through our 4-game winning streak, we're holding people to, I would say, roughly about 56 points a game, and just doing a tremendous job giving us the ability to win games, whether at home or whether on the road, because it's really difficult to score against us right now. And then, the last 2 games we've been down 1, but we've had players step up tremendously. Last week it was Jada McMillian. This week it was Jade Phillips. And so just, finding different ways to win, different players ready at different times. But overall as a team, it's been fun to coach this team right now.
Last week when you went to Old Dominion and won, it was a slow start in the first quarter, but you turned it around in the second. This time you got up to a pretty good start in the first quarter.
We did,
Better.
but it didn't last long. Yeah, we came out of the gates strong for sure, and I think we were up maybe 10-2 or something to that effect, and then they came back, which is to be expected. I mean, what we try to tell our team is, you can't expect, FIU's record was not very good, but you can't expect at this time of year in conference play to go in and just be able to beat anybody. We knew they were going to give us a fight, and we got off to a good start, but they punched us back, and honestly, most of the first half, we didn't feel like we played very well, just not as locked in as we had been, made some mistakes in personnel, offensively took some tough shots, which we hadn't been doing as much lately, but we were able to regroup at halftime. I was really proud of our kids. We came out and just smacked them to start the third quarter, and that was the difference in the game. And again, I think it shows maturity of our team to be able to understand that a first half wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. There were these couple things that we need to do better. We came out, we did that better, and that got us a lead that we never relinquished.
Yeah, you talked about that last week, into the scouting report against Old Dominion, how the girls are kind of scouting themselves. They kind of knew what to look for and kind of implemented that in the game. And at this point of the season, you'll love to see that. Now you got one more game left before you go to the conference tournament and playing some of your better basketball of the year.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. I think our players are really locked in and are really, understanding what it takes to play and win at this level. And, you can't just play hard. You can't just execute on one end of the floor. You've got to be able to put the whole package together. And that's what we were missing. I think earlier in the year we would do one thing right, not the other thing right. We couldn't just get everything together at the same time. And, I do feel like over these last couple of games we've been close to playing both ends of the floor really well and doing the things necessary for us to win. And you have to look at the players because as coaches, you have the standard all year. Like we maybe changed some few things. Offensively, we made some changes, but we've talked about in detail on this show. But what it really comes down is to players really like the light bulb going off. Like, this is really important. Okay, we get that this is important. Let's make sure that we're doing it. Let's make sure we're locked in. Let's make sure we're watching film with a purpose. Let's make sure we're giving the right reminders on the court. I mean, the best teams are player-led, and right now we're player-led, which is pretty awesome.
You've had to fight through some injuries. You've had some adversity, but now as you're heading into the first full week of March, is this the type of team you envisioned back in October?
I think so, for certain, defensively. I still think we can grow on the offensive end, honestly, and I think even with a few weeks left in the season, we can do that. But, just the urgency that we have right now, the focus, everything I just, spoke about, like, that's the team I knew that we could be. And did it take us a little longer than we wanted? It did, but you can't rush those things. You can't make them happen. You feel like as a coach a lot of times that you can't. I can do this, or I can do this, or I can do this to make them. It happens when it happens, and that's, I think, sometimes the most frustrating thing about coaching. Sometimes is you just have to focus on the process and keep teaching and keep building and keep teaching and keep building. And, at some point you hope that the light bulb goes off, and it has for us. And, that's a really positive thing. We'll take it.
This is Gold Mine Live, our basketball coaches show with head coach Cara Consuegra. The Niners are 16-11, 8-7 right now in Conference USA. It is spring break, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, and going into the conference tournament next week, it gives you really a full week of having the girls just nothing but thinking basketball. That's got to be good.
Yeah, it's different for us because normally spring break falls when we're at the conference tournament, and I honestly didn't even realize it was spring break until very recently, because I was like,
it's kind of early.
We're usually in Texas or wherever we're at. So I do think that that's nice. I think it's crucial this time of year that players are able to rest, and it's great that we're in spring break, and so they can sleep in the mornings and be able to get some extra rest. That's really important this time of year.
Another thing too, it's been on both sides for the women and the men, the way the season's been in Conference USA, one game a week the last couple of weeks. So you're getting the extra rest, and you needed it with the injuries you've had. But you also want to get some rhythm going before the conference tournament, and playing once a week maybe is not totally beneficial in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, we can't control that, right? We can only control what we have in front of us, and I think we've done a good job managing the games or the game once a week, and giving some extra rest, but also challenging our players with different scouting reports, different game plans. Hey, we'd be like, okay, today we're going to play Middle Tennessee, tomorrow we're going to play North Texas, and now we're going to prepare for ODU, or now we're going to prepare for FIU. I think that's helped keep them sharp, kind of keep them on their toes, rather than, the other thing you get into this time of year is it becomes monotonous, right? This is when everybody uses that quote unquote, it's a grind, right? And even though you love the game, it does become monotonous, like you've been doing this over and over and over and over. And so finding different ways to keep it fresh for the players, I think that's helped us as well in terms of, not doing the same thing every single day. And it's helped them stay sharp. You
have the one game left, which is Thursday, and it's the last game for the seniors. Southern misses the opponent here at Halton Arena. Then you go to the conference tournament. Right now, if the season ended today, you're the 8th seed. You can get as high as 6. Do you look at that much right now? In the 8 game, you're going to play, if you win, you play the number 1 seed, which is Rice at the moment. Do you try to move up to stay out of that game, or does it really matter?
Well, it matters, but, at the same time, we just have to control what we can. And the most important thing we want to do is win our last game at Halton Arena for our seniors. And, if we do that, that helps us in the conference tournament, and that's great. If we don't do that, then we have to deal with that, when we get there. But, you have that kind of fine line where you don't want to, I don't want to put pressure on this team. I don't want them to think, oh, we have to win this. I mean, I feel like we can go and compete with everybody in this league. And whether that's, in the first round that we're in, or the quarterfinal, or the semifinal, or the final, whatever it is, we feel good about the way that we're playing right now. And so we just need to focus on that, playing our very best on Thursday, and then the seed will take care of itself.
Yeah, and even against Rice, you guys played them awfully well at their place, and a winnable game if you have to face them again, and a challenge that I know you'll be ready for. And you guys match up well against pretty much anybody in this league.
I agree, and that's what I keep telling our team, like the way that we're playing right now and the effort and the focus that we have on the defensive end, we're going to have an opportunity to be in every single game. And it's just going to be a matter of, are we going to be able to make the right plays, down the stretch. I don't envision, going into Frisco and blowing out everybody. I mean, that's how we've been all year. We played close games all year. And when we've been really locked in, like I said, I think we have an opportunity to beat anybody. So, but that's next week. And, like we said, we have to focus on beating Southern Miss, which is, an important game for a lot of reasons. But also that we lost to them earlier in the year. And that same thing, that's a game, third quarter, we're in the game, we have an opportunity to take the lead, we don't take it, and then we make a few mistakes, boom, we're down 7 points. And that's when we were in that time of year where our streaks were really bad, and we had one bad streak. And now the fourth quarter, we're fighting to get back in the game, and we did. We cut it to 4, but we're never able to take the hump, go over the hump. So, another game where we feel like we match up really well, and now we get to have them at home.
Seemed like after that trip, the defense is really kind of locked in now. 53 points is what FIU had against you last week. And talk about the rebounds, though. 57 rebounds, 19 offensive rebounds. That's a great effort.
It's been incredible, and it's, we've been talking about that with our team just consistently in the last, the 4-game winning streak. We've out-rebounded everybody. I mean, FIU was very significant in terms of the numbers. But we have players right now that they're doing their job. We're boxing out better than we have all season long. But we're crashing well, too, and that's a big thing. I think we had 19 rebounds at FIU, and that's huge, especially when you're on the road and you're in unfamiliar territory. And, I tell our players all the time, you think that you can control how you score. You think you can control how you make shots. But you really can't, in my opinion. You shoot the ball, and if it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you can, in my opinion, you can control better your ability to rebound. You can control better your ability to defend based on the scouting report and based on playing people the way you're supposed to. And, I think we've really bought into that and locked into that. And, maybe we're missing some shots early against FIU, but we're getting ourselves second, third opportunities, and that's important, especially on the road.
Yeah, 12 assists and 24 made baskets, only 12 turnovers. Is that a number that you can live with, a dozen or less?
Absolutely, and we had 10 of those in the first half, Matt. So
okay.
that tells you what our first half looked like. It wasn't fantastic, and so again, we regroup at halftime. We only come out and have 2 turnovers in the second half, and that's been a big focus for our team. If you look through the stats on games where we've had high turnovers, which have led to points off turnovers for our opponent, those are games that we've struggled in, and so we focus on that a lot, and we've been so much better. And the problem is, especially early in the year, not only were we turning it over, but they were live ball turnovers. And so that's leading to transition, or we just went through those really tough streaks where we'd have multiple turnovers in a row. If you watch us now, we're not doing that as much, and we're able to control that better. We're able to recognize, hey, we've had a live ball turnover. We have to be smarter here. And that's been a big reason why we've improved.
We talked about it during the men's game yesterday. The guys hadn't been here at Halton since I think the 1st or 2nd of February. It's been a full month before they played at home yesterday. It's not been as long for y'all, but you have been away for a while. This coming Thursday is senior day. Talk a little about the seniors before we take a break, and one of them is Kenesha Brown, who's going to be joining us in just a moment. Talk about the seniors in this team and getting to play that last home game at Halton.
Yeah, it's always a special time for our seniors, most definitely, and I know that they're looking forward to this, and I hope Niner Nation will come out. Being spring break here, we really need the community to come out to honor these two. I mean, they're both two very different players from very different paths. Obviously, Lai is a 4-year player here internationally from Spain, and is going to leave here as one of the most decorated 49ers ever, and left her mark. Kenesha's path was different. She came through junior college and has been here for 2 years, but left a different type of mark in terms of, the growth that we've seen from Kenesha from last year to this year has been absolutely tremendous, and a great credit to her and her ability to work and overcome. And, her first year here was hard. She wasn't quite ready coming out of junior college, and she got behind. She ended up getting an injury, which put her behind. And I know that first year wasn't what she envisioned it would be. And it's really easy with 1 year left and just to say, you know what, let me just get my degree and, forget it. But, man, that kid worked her tail off this summer to get in great shape and, get to a point where she's a really key contributor, for us. And you don't always see it it doesn't show up on the stat sheet a lot for her because that's not her role, although she is a great rebounder. But when we need a stop defensively, Kenesha's in the game. When we need to change the momentum, Kenesha's in the game. And she's always ready on the bench, and that's what I love about her. If I call on her early, if I call on her late, if I don't call on her till the fourth quarter, it doesn't matter. If I start her, it doesn't matter. She's ready to play. And I think that's the thing that, again, when you talk about a legacy, like that's leaving a legacy of I'm a great teammate, I'm a great Niner, and she's been fun to have on our team.
Sounds great. Going to talk to her coming up next. Kenesha Brown's going to be our guest coming up after this timeout. You're listening to Gold Mine Live from Learfield IMG College. And welcome back to Gold Mine Live here at the Student Union. Matt Swierad with you, and with head coach Cara Consuegra taking a moment. And now we have Kenesha Brown joining us up here. And Kenesha, one of our seniors, senior day coming up on Thursday against Southern Miss at Halton Arena from Miami, Florida. Just had a chance to go back down to your home area with a game against FIU recently. Kenesha, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, thank you.
So you got spring break starting this week, which means you guys can just talk about nothing but basketball. It's got to be kind of fun, right?
Yeah, it's kind of fun with teammates. Just if we're not in practice, we're just chilling out. But everything's going fine.
Coach has always told us about how close you guys are as a team, and you had that trip in the summertime to Spain. What's it been like this year for you guys?
Oh, it's been amazing. That trip up there in Spain was a good time with the team, with the staff, and get to know each other more well, getting to know about Laya hometown and being with her family at her home. It was a good experience, and now coming back down here for the season, I think this is like the first team I actually been on. Like, we're very close, like everyone.
You had a chance also this last week being down in Miami to see some family. Was it fun to bring the Snyder team down there and play in front of family?
Yeah, it was great. It was actually fun. They had all type of questions, and it was like, I love this weather. It felt good not to be in 50-something degrees all the time. Yeah, it was great.
I guess some of your classmates having spring break this week. It's not great because it's not warm outside.
No, it's not.
So as you prepare for this last home game, and again your last one as a senior, what are you thinking right now? What are some of the things that are going through your mind as you get ready for the last game that you'll play at Halton Arena?
It's a lot of emotion because it all happened so fast. You know, like it's like I was just at Daytona. I was just recruited by Coach Cara, and I was just here, and now it's like I'm playing my last game Thursday at the Halton Arena. Just go out and enjoy myself and get the win.
Goes by fast, we know that. And any memories that kind of stick out right now from your 2 years here?
I would say the trip to Spain going to Spain was always a dream, so that was amazing. And then I would say that game-winning shot against Wright State, Laya, that was one of the best moments ever. Yeah.
It's been a good year. You guys have went out, won 4 in a row, and you got Southern Miss coming in Thursday for senior day, and got a chance to go into the conference tournament, a nice win streak. What's been the difference in the second half of the season that you've seen?
I think we're more confident now. Like the first half of the season was very difficult for us, especially on the road. Like as a team, like we sat down with each other, like try to figure out like what is the problem, why we can't, finish out a game. Like we would do good, we would do fine, but it's just that third and fourth quarter wasn't well. Now coming second half of the season conference, like Coach Cara say, we have a little more swag to ourselves. We're a little more confident. We're peaking at the right time. And we have leaders like Jade, Laya, some of the sophomores, the freshmen. They're stepping up, so it's good.
One of the players you went up against this year was Nancy Malkit at Rice. She's 6'9". We were just talking a moment ago off air about some of the bigger players that maybe you've played against. That was one of your better games on the glass. She had 9 rebounds. She's 6'9", for folks that don't know that. Not easy to match up against somebody that big, but that was one of your better games. Talk about that game and the chance of maybe playing Rice again and have a chance to knock them off.
That game was actually one of my favorite games in conference because it's like we were down the first half, and then we came back up, we cut it down to like 2 or 3 points, and then came out the second half, and it's like they were fighting, we were fighting back, and it was like it was interesting. I mean, we fell short, but we fought hard that game.
9 rebounds for you, and this team as a whole has really been rebounding tremendously lately, and that's one of the reasons why you have this winning streak going, and it's something you take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, rebounding was one of our issues, but when it comes to practice, rebounding. That's one of the Coach Cara emphasizes, rebounding, and it shows. Like if you out rebounding the team, you're gonna win. If you don't rebound like he's supposed to, then it's going to show up on the stack. So she's been emphasizing that, and everyone's been crashing really well. The guards, the bigs. So it's been interesting. The rebounding drills and practice has been working out. Yeah.
Well, when you came here last season, you did have a little bit of an injury, so you weren't 100% healthy last year, but you worked hard this off season to get back and be healthy this year. So is it kind of playing out the way you hoped it would?
Yes, most definitely. Last year when I first got here, it didn't go as I thought it was. Being injured and then coming back from the injury, I was behind. By that time we was into conference, and the girls was ahead of me and I was behind. But this summer came up. I worked hard with Coach Cara, the extra conditioning, and then season coming up. I just come in when I'm ready, play my role, help the team out.
Kenesha Brown's our guest. Tell us before we let you go about the matchup against Southern Miss. Again, it's senior day. It's going to be your last game at Halton Arena. What do you got to do to win that game?
You got to come out and play harder. We played them back at their arena. It was a little difficult for us defensively. It was difficult as in personnel. Like, we wasn't playing personnel correctly. So now that we're going to play them the second time, we have a little bit more of, we know what's coming. We know how these girls play. So we just got to play harder, no personnel, and get this W.
Well, enjoy the game, senior day, the whole soak it all up. Enjoy that last game at Halton Arena. Good luck, and have a great tournament next week in Frisco.
Thank you.
Kenesha Brown's been our guest, Niners senior out of Miami. We'll take a timeout, come back with one more segment with head coach Cara Consuegra coming up next. This is Learfield IMG College Gold Mine Live. About to go mine live. Matt Swierad with you, and joined again by head coach Cara Consuegra talking Niners basketball. The Niner women have one more game coming up at home to wrap up the regular season on Thursday against Southern Miss. It is senior day. Niners are 16-11, 8-7 in Conference USA. They're coming off a win on Saturday down at FIU, 62-53 in that game. Jade Phillips led the way, double-double, 32 points, 15 rebounds. Her fifth double-double, and set career highs in both points and rebounds in last 5 games, averaging almost 21 points a game. Really playing well right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jade willed us to that win, certainly on the offensive end. And, you know, you look at her stat line, but just her efficiency was what was amazing for me. She was 14 for 24, and she probably, of the 10 shots she missed, she probably missed 5 of those in the first half. So you talk about her second half efficiency. I think she scored 9 straight in the third quarter, and fourth quarter we went to her as much as we could, and she was just buckets, a walking bucket. So she was just incredible, especially in those 3 after the first quarter, those 3 quarters, and you know, and that was with us going to her almost every single possession. So FIU knew it. They were bringing help. They were bringing doubles, and she still just played very, very well.
Yeah, and saying that, all the time she touched the ball, only turned it over 3 times.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing about Jade. Like, you know, it's really easy to look at her statistically on the scoring end to say, oh, man, this kid is getting better. But her rebounding numbers are improving. Her turnovers are going down. She's had some games where she's had some high assist numbers. Just kind of depends whatever, you know, she needs to do for us to win. She's willing to do that. And that's what's so fun about coaching her right now.
You mentioned on the first segment you still feel like this offense can get better. There's more time to do that with this game on Thursday going to the conference tournament. Where do you want to see the efficiency get better?
Well, I think, you know, for us, we haven't really felt like we've had a game where everybody's kind of clicked all at the same time offensively. You know, they might have a game where, you know, Jade has a big game, or Mariah has a big game, or, you know, Jasmine scores 19. But there hasn't been a lot of games where we've had multiple kids in double figures, which is what I would prefer, and we're really efficient. And I don't know why that has happened that way. You know, I think we've put ourselves in a much position for that to happen, but I feel like that can still come, and maybe it will. And if it does, you know, right now we're averaging 60 points a game, and I think offensively with some of the skill that we have, we could be scoring more. And some of that's just been kind of making changes late into what we're doing offensively, understanding what we're supposed to be doing, and, you know, just knocking shots down. And, you know, hopefully it'll all come together and we'll be able to see that when we're in conference tournament.
You've probably had in the past better 3-point shooting teams than you have this year, but this team's been really good going inside. Plus this last game, 28 points in the paint. You're getting a lot of that production inside the paint.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just understand what we're good at, and we try to find shots based on what we're good at. And, you know, shooting the 3 isn't a huge strength, especially compared to some other teams that I've had, and we understand that. But the good thing about this team is we can make it just well enough, or we have a few players that can shoot it just well enough that it helps us in terms of people not being able to just pack the paint on us, and so then we can still get to the paint, which is what we really need to be able to do to score.
So tell us about Thursday night against senior night, 7 o'clock tip-off at Halton Arena for folks that come out. It's, of course, spring break on campus, but if students are out there, they're listening, they're on campus, love to have you out there on Thursday night. And the Bojangles game break, keys to a victory in that game. What's the biggest challenge for you guys against Southern Miss?
Well, Southern Miss is a really good defensive team, and they're one of those teams that are just very physical, very strong. They're going to hand check you every possession and dare the officials to call it, and just try to pressure you. We could see press for 40 minutes, and so it's going to be important for us to take care of the ball, and it's going to be important for us to, whenever you play a team that is very aggressive defensively, we want to be aggressive offensively. I thought we got in trouble in the last game against them of attacking what we call east and west, so not getting to the basket, not getting downhill. We have to be able to get downhill and be aggressive against them to put pressure on officials to make calls, but also to get them on their heels to be able to score. So I think those are some of the most important things to win.
Well, this is our last coaches show of the year, so we won't have one going into the conference tournament for you all next week. Good luck on Thursday. Have a great run in Frisco, and hopefully come back with a big old trophy.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Coach, good to see you.
You too.
We will take a break, come back, talk to head coach Ron Sanchez, Niner men's basketball. Next half hour of the show coming up. This is Gold Mine Live from Learfield IMG College. And welcome back to Gold Mine Live as we now turn our attention to the men's program. Head coach Ron Sanchez joining us on our weekly coaches show. It's our last one of the season. We got 2 more games left to wrap up the regular season, both this week and both against Rice University at home on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And we finish up Saturday night in Houston, Texas against the Owls. Coach coming off a win yesterday, beat UTEP 68-58. And for the folks that maybe hadn't heard, we left the broadcast yesterday saying that the Niners had to win out, of course, but needed some help. Needed Middle Tennessee to win at Rice. That didn't happen yesterday. Right. So now we know we will wrap up the year on Saturday. But nice win yesterday. The guys really played well, especially in the second half.
No, they did. And as disappointed as I am that, Middle did not end up beating Rice, I'm equally, happy with the performance of our team yesterday on Senior Day.
I thought, too, for a while, to get off a slow start, I thought Middle might come back and win that game in the second half, but it didn't happen. We do know, though, with the win yesterday that the 49ers have a chance now to do something, go into the offseason on a little bit of a run, and going to take on an Owl team that we played one time early this season at our place. Came up short, but a game that you did some good things in it, just didn't close it out. And it's an opportunity this week to keep going in the right direction. No,
definitely. When you have an opportunity to compete against another opponent, it doesn't matter what's at stake. It's about your program. It's about your growth, both individually and as a team. So, our approach, today at practice and tomorrow before Wednesday's game, has nothing to do with the outcome of the game yesterday. We would have approached this the same exact way, just continuing to grow as a team, continue to grow individually, continue to improve, and continue to teach.
In the game yesterday, some of the things that we saw in the second half, some adjustments you made in the first half, but things you challenged the team with too, protecting the basketball, trying to, with the turnovers, you had the fast break baskets that right. UTEP had in the first half. You closed that down in the second half and did a lot of really good things that started with the defense.
Yeah, no, someone asked me about the run. I don't know exactly what the number was. But it all started with our defensive side. If we can't defend, you can't score and continue to trade baskets. So you gotta kind of get consecutive defensive stops. And we have something that we chart. We like to get 3 stops in a row and kind of do that multiple times throughout the game. And that was one of our better ones yesterday in the second half. But equally, it's taking care of the basketball, because if you turn the ball over, teams are usually pushing the ball on you, scoring in transition, because your defense does not have an opportunity to get set. Those things are kind of interlaced and they work hand in hand. And we did do a much better job in the second half of taking care of the ball and, rallying or stacking defensive stops in a row.
Yeah, the things kind of the first half snowballed a bit when you did have the turnovers, and they were making shots. I mean, they were hitting threes too, which they make about 6 a game, and they made like 7 in the first half, so they were hot too shooting.
No, they were. And again, some of that did have to do with our lack of sureness with the ball. I think in the second half when we did a better job of taking care of the basketball. Like that, it all took care of itself. Because once your defense is set, you can defend anything. It's when you're in that scramble mode. Your 5-man is guarding somebody that he shouldn't, and then there's a drive and a kick, and you have these constant closeouts, and really good offensive teams kind of put you under duress in those situations. So really good defensive teams usually are set against offense. So that was the part that worked well together. We took care of the ball, and we were able to play some set man-to-man defense.
Also, multiple times took charges, and I know that makes you happy.
Yeah, the same guys always taking the charges. Cooper Robb was in there, and Bo Blight took a charge. Those guys are just so willing to sacrifice their bodies. It's music to my ears when I see those guys kind of just lay it on the line and take one. Especially when they play that many minutes, because they actually played a lot of minutes consecutive together. I know they were tired, but they were mentally tough enough to stick their noses in there at the right time.
I wanted to ask you that first because I wanted to just smile because I was asking you about Cooper Robb's offense. That might have been his best offensive game of the season, just with the confidence that he's shown. I mean, he'd get the ball, and a couple of threes he made, he didn't hesitate whatsoever. Just spotted up and shot it, knocked down 3 of them, and a couple of really nice spin moves in the lane too.
Yeah, no, and that's it. That has been his growth. When guys that this early in their career play that many minutes, they're no longer freshmen, especially this time of the year, they've been through a lot. They've handled some adversity, and Cooper's had some tough offensive games. This is where you got to find those small victories to celebrate, whether your team is winning or losing. You got to try to identify those and continue to encourage them to work. And Cooper's very diligent and he's very serious. The second thing that we did, I think we shot the ball really well from the free throw line. Him in particular, it's been an area of his that he's had to improve. And you watch him every day in practice, kind of work on that and really focus on that. And to see him, go out there and kind of get those and one plays. It's just, for me, it's fun as a coach to watch guys grow.
Yesterday, Bo Blight was a guy off the bench that gave you a lot of minutes. He gave you 20 minutes, but a tremendous effort. You talked about the charge that he took. He had a block shot late in the game in the second half, and he also had his first ever dunk when he came off the court for a timeout. Everybody was high-fiving, but apparently you had a big old smile on your face when he slammed that dunk through.
Because I've never seen him dunk. It was one of those that I was surprised. I know that everyone in the building was surprised. Now, it wasn't a monstrous kind of, a foot above the rim kind of dunk, but, he did hang on the rim as the ball went through. So it's officially a dunk. I'm happy for Bo because he's one of those guys that, hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but he shows up. He works hard every day. He takes care of his business. In practice, off the floor, in the locker room, and to see a kid like that enjoy, an opportunity when it's presented in front of him, it's kind of, it's what this is about. You work hard until your number's called, and his number was called, and because of his work ethic and because of his, commitment to trying to be excellent at little things, when his number was called, he was able to answer the bell because, he's earned that opportunity based on his commitment to working.
In 10 years when he comes back and plays in the alumni game, and he's probably still going up against Byron Dinkins at that time, that dunk is going to be a much bigger dunk.
He'll be dunking the same way 10 years from now. I think that might be the peak of his elevation. So I want to get a picture of that. That should be his senior day photo.
It should be.
When we hand it to him. So.
Well, as a coach, it's always special. You see it a lot more in football. There's so many more people when a player that's a walk-on gets a scholarship. And this semester, you had the ability to give him one for this semester. What was that like when you told him that?
I told him that as a coach, there are very few things that bring you joy. Listen, we play 30 games a season. If our happiness is solely going to come when we win, then we're going to live, pretty unhappy lives. So, in our journey with our teams, you have to be grounded on the right things. You have to value the right things, and you have to know where your joy comes from. And there are a few things, as a coach that gives you joy. One of those things is when you have the opportunity and the institution affords you an opportunity to present a kid who, is kind of giving you all he's got and does not get to perform when the lights are on, but does all his work, in the practice gym and, when no one is watching, when you can say to that young man, hey, it is my honor to present you with a scholarship.
That's a great story. And one more thing before we take a break, and Tyler Bertram is going to be our guest here today, freshman that is redshirting this year from Cooperstown, New York, and will be a big addition to the team coming next season. Before we talk about Tyler, you got Jalen McGill back from an injury from a concussion that he missed a game and a half before he got it cleared to play yesterday. Gave you 34 minutes and did some really good things.
He did. He defended well. He knocked down some shots. Jay's one of those guys, that because of, again, he got a lot of minutes this season. He came with a little bit of experience, from last season, and has kind of bought in on the defensive side more than anything. I know a lot of people see his offense, but if you watch him, defensively, he did some really good things. He followed the game plan. He stood with the scouting report yesterday to the best, that he's done probably most of the season. And, again, happy to see him have, success on both sides of the floor. And he also took care of the basketball, which is, a big thing for him.
Yeah. Tell us a moment about Tyler. You went up into a part of the country probably more known for baseball with the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Yeah.
And you found a shooter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was at Virginia, actually, when I first found out about Tyler. He was playing in a prep school in New England, and he had one of those, terrific shooting games that, obviously with Twitter and things like that you hear about. And I got some footage and I watched him, so I started calling him when I was an assistant at UVA, and we developed a bit of a relationship there. Then came here, and I didn't think we would be able to get him. I knew he had kind of unofficialed a few big schools, including Michigan and a few other schools. So I thought it was a long shot, but I said, hey, what's the worst thing he can say is no? I've been told no plenty of times. I think, so I said I can handle it. So, we called and we continued to work and build our relationship with him and his family. And, he decided to take an official. And, kind of the rest is history. We really hit it off. I hit it off with his dad. I've known his dad for a while. And, when it comes to, your kids, I think it's about trust. And I think his dad trusted what we were trying to do here. And I'm very thankful that they decided to make, Charlotte home.
Excited to have him here. I had a chance to get to know him a little bit during the road games this year. Looking forward to watching him play next year. We're going to talk to Tyler coming up next as we continue with Gold Mine Live. Take a timeout. This is Gold Mine Live from Learfield IMG College. And welcome back to Gold Mine Live as we continue our last basketball show of the season. And our last home men's basketball game is coming up on Wednesday against Rice University at 7 o'clock. Our special player guest right now is freshman Tyler Bertram, who's from Cooperstown, New York. Tyler, good to see you on this Monday, spring break. So it's a little bit of a time off for you and get to just work on nothing but basketball for a while.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Nobody's on campus. It's quiet. There's nothing else to do but be in the gym, hang with the guys. So it's a great time.
We heard Coach just talk about how he got to recruit you when he was in Virginia, but sold you on coming down to Charlotte. You guys came down for a visit. What sold you on the school?
When I came down, obviously people say like the campus is amazing, and I love that. But I love that piece about it. But when I hung around the guys, I just felt like a really tight family atmosphere. And when I talked to Coach Sanchez about his movement with the program and what he wants to do, he really sold me on that. And I knew Coach Kimball with William & Mary, and I knew the offense he wanted to run, and I thought I could really fit in with that as well.
Well, as you've been here now for a year working, you've been working a lot in the weight room too, trying to eat more and trying to put some weight on. How's that going for you?
Oh, it's been awesome. I've gained 12, 14 pounds since I've gotten here. And that was one of the biggest pieces about redshirting and coming early is I knew if I came and worked with Coach Blake that it would be huge for my development, and so far it's been amazing.
So when you made that decision with your family to come and redshirt, what was all that? What was all involved?
I mean, it happened very quick, and like one day basically. So it was a quick decision, but my dad basically called me and said, "Hey, if you know you want to go here, why not go early and be ready? Like practice with the team, get to know the offense, gain some weight, and just basically be like really ready for my first year."
I've heard too. You're kind of like a coach on the bench with these guys. That you understand the game. You're a student of the game. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, having my dad as a coach, I've kind of always like I've always wanted to possibly be a coach as well too. So I mean, I'm always trying to learn from Coach Sanchez and all the other guys, and I try to help out as much as I can from the bench.
Until you went to prep school, you played for your dad, David, and in Cooperstown, New York. And you know, sometimes that doesn't work out playing for dad. I know you really enjoyed it. What was that like?
It was really tough at times. I mean, being his son, like he was really hard on me, and also from like an outsider's like point of view, like it might have been tough. Like I'm the coach's son, I get to take a lot of shots, stuff like that. But I kind of like tried to stay leveled with all that, and I mean, I thought it was awesome. I mean, being able to win 2 section titles and going to the state quarterfinals with him, it was like I wouldn't give that up for anything.
How big is basketball in your area? You know, we know the Baseball Hall of Fame there, but it's not a warm place. You're not playing a lot of baseball up there this time of year. How big of a basketball community is it?
I was just talking about this with some other friends recently. People say it's a baseball town, but if you're from Cooperstown, it's really a basketball town. Everybody shows up for the basketball games. The whole town comes out. It's just a great atmosphere.
Now, you have, though, toured the museum many, many times. Got a favorite part of it?
I mean, not really. I mean, everything's kind of really the same. It's a little different museum. I mean, I like to look at like the old stuff, like Babe Ruth stuff and all that. Ty Cobb's.
Your dad also was the tennis coach, and you played some tennis. How good of a tennis player are you?
Not bad. My sophomore year, actually, I made it to States, and we went to the Final 16. We got to play at the U.S. Open courts. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Did you get any offers to play tennis in college?
No, I didn't.
None whatsoever.
Nope.
So as you've sat out this year, you worked on your game. Where do you feel like you've improved the most in the short period of time you've been in Charlotte?
I'm honestly going to say, I think mentally. I think learning from guys like JD and Jordan Shepard, it's been great learning like how to come off ball screens and stuff like that and different reads. And then also being in the weight room, I think has helped me so much, being able to make decisions, playing off 2 feet and just being stronger with the ball.
How many shots do you get up a day?
A day? Out of practice, I try to get up 500 makes probably.
Wow.
Or not 500 makes, probably 500 threes.
500 threes. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you seen? I know you've seen the three-point shooting trophy
Yeah.
that is now residing in your office. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a shooter's dream.
Is it fun being down here in an NBA city? I mean, I'm not sure how much time you've had a chance to go watch the Hornets, but being a basketball fan like you are, to be in a town that has so much great basketball.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I went to a game earlier in the year with the coaches and a recruit, and it was awesome. Just when you watch a game like that, I mean, it's just makes you want to be there more, makes you want to work harder to get there.
Any plans this summer? What you going to do?
I'm going to be here for both sessions, so just try to be here, gain more weight, and be ready for the first season.
Sounds great. Looking forward to watch you play next year.
Thank you.
Glad you're here with the 49ers. Have a great summer. And Tyler, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Tyler Bertram's been our guest here on Gold Mine Live. We'll come back with our final segment with head coach Ron Sanchez, then wrap it up. This is Gold Mine Live from Learfield IMG College. Welcome back to Gold Mine Live with head coach Ron Sanchez. Just want to thank Tyler Bertram for stopping by. And we have one more home game left. It's going to be on Wednesday. We did have senior day yesterday. We honored John Davis and also Jalen Haslam. And we do have this one more game coming up, though, so it's going to be the last game at home. We got 2 games to play this Wednesday, and then, of course, on Saturday against Rice. Last 2 chances now for these 2 seniors to get out there and play, Coach. And John Davis gave you over 20 again. Yes, I was just telling some folks here that he can tie Byron Dinkins for a record that is the most 20-point games in one season. Yesterday, 21. He now has 18 20-point games. He can tie Byron Dinkins. So you can give Dink some grief this week in the office.
I'm going to tell Dink if he wants me to tell John that. But no, it'll be great. I mean, John is one of those guys. He's had a special career when it comes to the record books. Really happy for him. I think he's one of 3 guys, currently active in college basketball that has over 2,000 points. Like that's, in the country. That's pretty special. I know that. We haven't accomplished the things that he probably hoped, but I think individually, he's very thrilled that he's been able to have this opportunity to help this team the way that he has, and to cement himself in the history books and in 49er history.
He's got 2 more assists, to become the first Niner to have 100 assists in each of his 4 seasons. So that's also a pretty nice accomplishment once he gets that point coming up the next couple of games as well. Both against Rice. Jalen Haslam is the other senior. We talked about Jay before the game yesterday as well. Only here a couple of years, but and played for you for the 1 year. But certainly somebody that's made his impact as well.
Yeah, no, he did. Have enjoyed coaching Jay, and yesterday he took a 3, and I looked at him, and he looked at me like he just nodded. He was like, "Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?" It's like one of those moments. I didn't know what to say. I said, "This is gonna go down." It's one of those things that I'm never going to forget. He's taking 1 3, and it was like 15 shots. I said, "Jay, come on." He's like, "Coach, I was open."
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so
you can't argue that point.
That's how he's putting himself in the history books. Taking a 3 completely against Coach's will.
So Rice back-to-back games. Bojangles Bowtime challenged the key to a win against Rice on Wednesday. What do you think?
We got to take care of the ball. Rice shoots the ball really well from the perimeter. They're playing really good basketball right now. They won 2 in a row. They were down, I think, 18 against UTEP and came back and beat them in double overtime, which was a huge victory for them. We're going to have to defend the 3-point line really well. They score in transition. I don't know if it's the Houston Rockets influence or whatever, but they push the ball up the floor and they just let it fly from the 3-point line. So taking care of the basketball is going to be very important. Being set defensively, very important, and contesting shots on balance and really following our scouting report is going to be huge.
It'll be interesting, playing them back to back. How much do you envision, a scout changing when you play a team back to back like that?
You can't reinvent it, in 2 days. College players can't adjust that quickly to those changes. So we have to, make sure that we just do what we do well, and it'll be fun because now we'll be able to get a little bit of rest. There's not much prep. It'll be more about fresh legs and energy, and coaches really, kind of being encouraging and trying to instill more confidence in the guys, but giving them something to fight for. Right now, it'd be great, to go and get 2 games back to back.
It is our last show. It's gone by really fast, Coach. This first year for you, what's it been like?
Honestly, it's been really enjoyable for me. I journal a lot of, my things daily, and for me, I've grown tremendously in a lot of different ways. From December to today, I think I'm coaching the team a different way. Being patient has been, one of the key things for me in teaching young guys, new new system, new staff. It hasn't been as smooth as we would have wanted, but I have a great group of coaches working with me. The guys have been phenomenal. The locker room has been really healthy. We've enjoyed each other's company, and that was one of the primary goals this season, was for us to, regardless of what happens, to really enjoy the journey, and just kind of really be, the joy set before us, enjoy that, and stay focused with those things, and not lose sight of what's important. And I think that we've done a good job this year with that.
I'm already looking forward to next season, and we got 2 games left before this one's over. Coach, it's been great. Thank you so much, and good luck these final 2 games.
Thank you for all the fans for listening and coming and supporting. Cannot thank you enough. for bringing the energy that you brought whenever you showed up into the building.
Head coach Ron Sanchez. I want to thank Tyler Bertram, Kenesha Brown, and head coach Cara Consuegra of the Niner women. The men are home at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. The women 7 o'clock on Thursday against Southern Miss. So long, everybody.